How well do you know your Disney trivia? For the 36th time, let's find out. 960 clues have come and gone, but 26 new ones are headed your way as part of this 36th episode of Disney 100 Jeopardy. Welcome in. As always, I am your host, Bryan Perri, and thanks so much for joining me. Let's test that Disney knowledge of yours by checking out the rules first. On your screen, they're the same rules as always. If this is your first time playing though, welcome in. If it's not and you want to cheat, go right ahead. I won't tell anyone, nor will I judge you in the slightest.
That's very funny.
In last week's episode 35, the Final Jeopardy category was #canceled. No, it was not about being canceled in society, but instead about things that Disney has promised you and I, and then ultimately thrown out. Could be related to the parks, could be related to movies, could be related to television. Either way, 5 clues from #canceled are coming your way along with 4 brand new categories. So, let's see what they are. Once again, #canceled kicks things off in this episode 36. Second category, Descendants of Whom. All right, look, Descendants of Whom is all about me naming a Descendants character and you telling me whom they are a descendant of. Also, shout out to Cooper, who's been asking for this category for quite some time. Also, shout out to eDog2630, who requested this category plus a must-do Disney category with Stacy, which I honestly should do soon. In the meantime, you can check out my interview with Stacy from, I think it was last year. She is awesome, she is the best, and she is a legend in the Disney park community. The third category, I have not been there. All right, if you are a fan of Disney 100 Jeopardy, you might remember a few episodes ago, I did the category I've Been There, where I described a city in a Disney film that you could actually visit, like New York or Hollywood or something like that. This category is about cities that you cannot visit, or places you cannot visit in a Disney film because they are not real. Your fourth category is your Disney Parks category of the week, Disneyland Paris. Shout out the Steph Rules, who suggested that I use more Disneyland Paris content in the parks category. I will say this, Disneyland Paris is the most underrated castle park in a Disney resort. Look at these completely candid photos of me that I took when I was there. Yep, those are not staged at all. Completely candid, just absolute bliss. All right, maybe they were a little posed, but either way, it doesn't change the fact that Disneyland Paris is awesome, and 5 clues are coming your way about that awesome European resort. And the fifth and final category, Pixar Sequels. That category is pretty much as straightforward as it gets. I'll give you 5 clues about 5 different Pixar sequels. Okay, it is time for the easiest round of the game, the Cupcake Round. Each of these clues worth just 200 points each. Hopefully you go 5 for 5 for 1,000 points and get things started on the right foot. Let's take a look at the board and kick things off with #canceled. This one's worth 200. The legendary Animal Kingdom land that never was. This never-built area of the park remains the reason we have a dragon on the Animal Kingdom logo. The correct answer is Beastly Kingdom. Ugh. If you know me well, you know how much this grinds my gears. Look at this magical place filled with unicorns and dragons. Was going to be built where Avatar stands today. Instead, Disney said, let's build Dino Land first, since that movie Dinosaur is coming out, and obviously that didn't crush it at the box office, so Disney never ended up building Beastly Kingdom, though they did put the dragon on the Animal Kingdom logo because they planned to. And when a lot of Imagineers were laid off and not able to build Beastly Kingdom, they went over to the rival Islands of Adventure and built the Lost Continent. So you see a lot of remnants of what Beastly Kingdom was going to be in the Lost Continent, including a dragon roller coaster. All right, Pete, dueling dragons. All right, let's move on now. Here comes Descendants of Whom for 200. Mal. You don't have to say both. You could have said either. If you did say both, no extra points for you. Sorry. It's the Cupcake Round, no extra points. The correct answer is Maleficent or Hades.
Hi, Mom. No! I miss you.
All right, here we go with I Have Not Been There for 200. Where Princess Jasmine and Aladdin reside. That would be Agrabah.
Ah, salam and good evening to you, worthy friend. Please, come closer. Too close, a little too close. There. Welcome to Agrabah.
Here comes your first clue from Disneyland Paris. The original name of Disneyland Paris. It originally went by Euro Disney.
Euro Disney Paris, the most spectacular holiday in Europe. Call this number now for your free brochure or hotel reservations.
Let's finish off the cupcake round with Pixar Sequels. The first sequel of a Pixar film to come out. It was just the third Pixar movie ever. The correct answer is Toy Story 2.
Marker. Okay. A little help here, please.
There you go for the cupcake round. Hopefully you went 5 for 5. If not, fear not, because here comes the second round, and these clues are worth twice as much. Let's kick things off with hashtag canceled for 4. Before California Adventure came to be, Michael Eisner and other Disney officials came together in 1991 to announce this second theme park set to be built on Disneyland's parking lot. Look, I love California Adventure, but how cool would it have been if Westcott was built? That's right, Westcott was the planned Disney project before another category today, Disneyland Paris, ruined that by absolutely doing terribly in attendance when it first opened and hurting Disney Parks division financially. All right, let's move on now. Here comes the 400-point clue from Descendants of whom? King Ben or King Benjamin. He is the son of Beast or Belle, or both.
I didn't make a good decision until I was at least 42.
You decided to marry me at 28.
It was either you or a teapot.
I have not been there for 400. Anna and Elsa's home. Yes, you can visit Norway, but you can't visit the real-life town of Arendelle.
Welcome to Arendelle.
Oh, merci, monsieur.
Watch your step, please. The gates will be opening soon.
And no, going to World of Frozen at Hong Kong next month does not count as visiting Arendelle, because it's not actually, a real place. Here comes Disneyland Paris for 4. The second park built at the resort. All right, I said it before that Disneyland Paris is the most underrated castle park. Walt Disney Studios, which is the correct answer to this one, is the absolute worst. So it is the 12th park on my list of the 12 Disney parks in the world. They did do some refurbishments and improve a little bit over the last few years. And they do have some unique rides that are pretty cool, like Crush's Coaster. But ultimately, yes, it is not great. Not great. Let's finish off the 400-point round with Pixar Sequels. This Pixar sequel unfortunately holds the title for the lowest Rotten Tomatoes score of any feature-length film in the studio's history, both audience and critic. The correct answer is Cars 2. Look, a lot of you know that I'm a huge Cars fan. I am not a huge Cars 2 fan. In fact, I don't know if anybody is. Okay, let's move on to the 600-point round now. It starts with hashtag canceled. Fraidy Cat was a planned for 2009 Disney animated movie to be directed by the dynamic duo of Ron Clements and John Musker. The film was set to be a satire on the noir horror films created by this legendary filmmaker. All right, this one is really disappointing because it sounds like it would have been phenomenal. The correct answer is Alfred Hitchcock. That's right, the 2009 planned film Frady Cat was set to mimic an Alfred Hitchcock horror film, obviously in a more family-friendly, comedic way. But to have Ron Clements and John Musker of Little Mermaid, Princess and the Frog, Aladdin, Moana fame directing that, it would have been so cool, super unique. But ultimately Disney said, maybe kids don't really understand the Alfred Hitchcock style and they won't appreciate it, so they shelved the project. Sad but true. All right, let's move on now. Here comes Descendants of whom? Audrey. Audrey is the daughter of Aurora and Prince Philip.
I never thought of myself as me.
On to the halfway point. It's I Have Not Been There for 6. Before moving to Zootopia, Judy Hopps lived here with her family. She lived in Bunnyborough. Disneyland Paris now for 600. Walt Disney Studios recently debuted their new coaster, Avengers Assemble Flight Force, which simply took over the track and rethemed this classic attraction. Before it was Avengers Assemble Flight Force, it was Rock and Roller Coaster. Here comes your third clue from Pixar Sequels. Pixar's first prequel. This film explores the backstory behind one of the studio's most popular pair of characters. The first prequel from Pixar was Monsters University. Okay, how we doing so far, people? I hope you're doing well, because the 800-point round is headed your way, and it is no gimme. We start with #canceled. During the construction of Seven Seas Lagoon at Walt Disney World, a square piece of land was left on the west side of the man-made lake to build Disney's Asian resort. The 1973 oil crisis canceled the planned resort, and 15 years later, this opened in its place. All right, look, it is no secret that I am a huge nerd when it comes to Disney park history. I love this stuff, and I love this fact right here. Grand Floridian is the correct answer. It stands on that extra piece of land that sticks out into Seven Seas Lagoon. But again, it wasn't supposed to be Grand Floridian. It was supposed to be Disney's Asian resort. And there were actually a few other resorts that Disney had planned, including a Venetian resort, which would have sat between TTC and the Contemporary. And then there was also a Persian resort, which would have sat where a cast member lot sits right now. It's kind of on the banks of Bay Lake, past Bay Lake Tower. If you ever drive on that road next to Contemporary and you look to your right, opposite of where Tron is now, you'll see a parking lot. That was supposed to be a Persian resort. Also, the monorail awkwardly goes back there towards the monorail shed. And the reason it does that is because it was going to stop at the Persian resort. The Persian resort never got built. But the correct answer is Grand Floridian, is what I'm getting at. All right? There's your Disney World lesson of the day. Let's move on now. Here comes Descendants of whom for 8. Gil. Gil is the son of Gaston. Here comes I Have Not Been There for 8. Inspired by real small towns in Italy, this fictional town is the setting for Pixar's 2021 film, Luca. Luca takes place in Porto Rosso.
It worked! See? You just gotta follow my lead.
Here we go with Disneyland Paris's fourth clue. Disneyland Paris is the only castle theme park to not feature a Tomorrowland. Instead, the land that houses Space Mountain is called this. Space Mountain can be found in Discoveryland. And here comes Pixar Sequels for 8. The release date gap between the original film and this sequel is the largest in Pixar history at 14 years. I'll be honest, I actually got this clue wrong when I came up with it. I was like, oh yeah, it's definitely this answer, but it wasn't. The correct answer is Incredibles 2. That's because The Incredibles came out in 2004, and then Incredibles 2 came out 14 years later in 2018. All right, that's going to do it for the first 20 clues of the game, but you know what time it is. It is time for the most overly dramatic, soundtrack-infused, unnecessarily spotlighted 1,000-point round. Hit it. That was my dramatic effect for the week. Let's kick things off with the most difficult clue from #cancel. The Tune Platoon was the name of the never-produced sequel to this 1988 film that is part of the Library of Congress. When you consider the extreme box office and cultural success of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, it is kind of puzzling that we have never gotten a proper sequel, but it was a planned sequel, and yes, it was called Roger Rabbit 2, The Tune Platoon. All right, let's move on now. Here comes your 1,000-point clue from Descendants of Whom? Dizzy. Dizzy is the daughter of Drizella. Okay, let's move on to the final clue from I Have Not Been There. Space Mountain can be seen within Todayland in this Disney animated film. Todayland has an awesome, albeit brief, appearance in Meet the Robinsons. And here comes Disneyland Paris for 1,000. This resort hotel was recently rethemed to include Marvel artwork and Spider-Man suites. You'll have to go all the way to Disneyland Paris if you want to stay in Hotel New York, the Art of Marvel.
Tus dibujantes de cómics favoritos o seguramente de los clásicos, porque va a haber exposiciones y de todo. Eso tiene que ser la caña.
And here comes your final clue on the board before Final Jeopardy. It belongs to Pixar Sequels. After Toy Story 3, this was the second Pixar film to eclipse the $1 billion mark at the box office. It makes sense based on the extreme success of the original film Finding Nemo, but the correct answer is Finding Dory.
I suffer from short-term memory loss.
Yes! That's exactly what you say.
I feel like for how successful Finding Dory was, nobody talks about it, right? I don't know anyone who talks about Finding Dory. It was a good movie. It was fine. Doesn't crack my top 10 Pixars probably, but yeah. But yet it was so successful. I don't get it. Anyway, it is time for Final Jeopardy, the part of the game that will ultimately determine how proud of yourself you will be for the next 7 days. Let's see what you're going to be quizzed on in this final clue of the game. Disney Park duplicates. Okay, so the Disney Park category this week was Disneyland Paris, which might have been tough for a lot of stateside Disney fans, but this is for you guys. Basically, Disney Park Duplicates is all about rides that you can ride in both Disneyland and Disney World. Make those wagers. All right, when I came up with this clue, I was so excited. I'm very proud of it. So here we go. Are you ready? Let's find out. As of today, Disneyland Park and Magic Kingdom run 11 attractions with the same exact name. Now, I literally mean same exact name. So the Disneyland Railroad and the Walt Disney World Railroad do not have the same exact name, so they don't count. You get it? All right, let's continue. These 3 of those 11 current rides that share the same name were opening day attractions at each park. Name them. Good luck. Okay, normally time is up right now, but I know this one is a little difficult and you're racking your brain, so let's give you a little more time. All right, now time is truly up. Look, there are a lot of attractions that you may have thought were opening day at both, but just missed it. For example, Dumbo, an opening day ride at the Magic Kingdom in Orlando, not an opening day ride at Disneyland. No, missed it by 2 weeks. The tree houses, yes, opening day attractions, though they are not rides, nor do they share the same name now. Same thing with Autopia and the Tomorrowland Speedway, both opening day attractions, but do not share the same name. Space Mountain, for example, shares the same name, but was not an opening day attraction at either park. The correct answer is Peter Pan's Flight, Jungle Cruise, and Mad Tea Party. I feel like Mad Tea Party is probably most definitely the one you forgot, but maybe not. That's going to do it for this episode of Disney 100 Jeopardy. If you like what you saw, be sure to subscribe. Click that bell icon. Hello, bell. That was like my worst ever, potentially, so erase that from your brain. This way, you're notified every time we come out with brand new episodes. Once again, Disney Park Duplicates will return in next week's episode 37, so I hope I will see you then. I've been your host, Bryan Perri. Till next time.
Bye-bye.